And I have Tommy Bolan. You guys have to already know if you've seen the interview with Doro. There is a killer live album coming out for Triumph Agony. You know, they've got a live Blu-ray DVD. That was the show that was Sweden Rock, and it was a mix of part of the Spain tour. How you doing today, Tommy?
Doing good, hanging in there. Another day in LA, living the dream, you know? Forgot about it.
Forget about it. So we were catching up beforehand, and you know, there's so much cool stuff going on with this new release. And I think a lot of people have sunk their teeth into Triumph Agony over the years, just as kind of one of the core quintessential albums for metal. How did you feel when Doro said, hey, you know, I think we're just going to put that live show out and do it as a live album?
Oh, it was awesome. It was a great idea. I mean, me and her, she had mentioned it, the idea of it before, but when she finally pushed the button on it, started going forward, I thought it was a great idea because I just said this has been a fan favorite album. Obviously, the album changed my life. So, you know, I'm all for anything Triumph Agony. I mean, that album's been a staple in her set as well. And there's my gold record behind me. I got to, you know, throw a little name drop in there. But seriously, no, I was actually thrilled because, you know, it was great to come back home and play all these songs again and to play with Doro. And she's got a great band. The guys are all very cool. So it was awesome when she pushed the button on that. And of course, after hearing them, like, there's a lot of energy. And that's the biggest thing. Seeing Warlock live, like, you know, will melt your skull. It's an awesome feeling.
What was it like to do that gig at Sweden Rock where you guys were doing the Triumph Agony front to back?
I tell you, it was Doro had called me about the idea. I actually still have the message on my machine of when she first called me with the idea. I never erased it. You know, just a good luck thing. And it was surreal, to be honest. I mean, coming back, it was like coming home. For me, it was like coming home. And it was a surreal feeling because you know, I thought of, you know, wow, how many, I can't even believe how many years have gone by in it, you know, and to come back and play those songs again and all the feelings and the emotions. I remember it brought a lot of emotions on all over the waves, you know, a lot of emotions went through me, you know, to the highest highs, the low lows. And it was intense. It was like, just like a real reconnection of the soul to those songs and playing them. And then seeing the fans again at that level and to be with Doro. Cause I always had a great chemistry with Doro. Me and her always had, like, I always magnetized to her playing, and she would bring out a style in my playing. I mean, I'm already pretty off the grid when I play, but there's a certain way. So to reconnect on those songs again, then to play some of the songs we never played because we had never played, Make Time for Love or Kiss of Death. So these songs, you know, just never made it into even the Triumph Agony tour that we did back in the day with Dio and Megadeth and all that. So to play those, that was a real treat, you know, and then just to see the Warlock logo behind me again. I mean, it was, and then, you know, I had that guitar built for it, and then it was, I guess if I had to pick a word, fucking awesome, I suppose. Yes.
So that's awesome. So let's talk about, like, a little bit about the heyday of working with Doro and then where you are now. I mean,
you heard that? That's
I heard that. I had to pause for a second because that always happens. Welcome to what it is to do Zoom interviews. Every time here we get these huge trucks, they come through. There's nothing you can do about that.
No worries.
So what were you talking about? So, you know, I guess working with Doro from the beginning and then where you guys are now, and then in between, I mean, I guess let me ask, how much work have you done with Doro in the years since, you know, Triumph Agony? I mean, did it kind of stop, falter?
Actually, no work was actually done. I mean, I had the Triumph Agony. I did the tour, you know, and you know, we did a whole tour with Dio in Europe, Megadeth in America. Then also we toured America on a big club theater headlining, and then we also on some shows hooked up with Crocus and Lillian Axe and had Fate's Warning opening for us, and you know, and a bunch of other shows. You know, we did another leg of a tour. But after that, you know, I knew of Doro, and oddly enough, after Warlock, I started a band. Here's a scoop. I've never told this story. I started a band with Jamie St. James from Black and Blue. We had a band called Freight Train Jane. And as you know, at this point, Gene Simmons was producing Doro's album. I forget which album it was with Tommy Thayer, who's now doing the Ace Frehley, you know, in Kiss, who was in Black and Blue, you know, and they're, you know, super cool guy. And with Jamie, so we Freight Train Jane had a lot of shit going on. We had some really good. We had, you know, Barbara Streisand's manager, Tom Worm was set to produce us. You know, we had Motley's attorney just did that big deal. I mean, we're getting bags of fame. Everything was going really good. And suddenly, I remember, and people have been told me I should write a book. I got so many fucking stories, but this is a true story. I swear to God. I go to Jamie's house to rehearse. He goes, "There's a message for you on the machine." I go, "What?" He goes, "There's a message." So Jamie was very good friends with Gene Simmons, you know, and the next thing I know, he plays the machine and it's Gene Simmons talking. And it's Gene Simmons talking to Jamie, saying some stuff to Jamie. And he goes, And I swear to God, this is what he said. He goes, hey, Jamie, there's a song here. A solo might be really good for your boy Tommy to play on. He goes, get back to me. So I was actually being asked by Gene Simmons to play on this record. And Doro's in Hollywood, and Tommy Thayer would always say, Doro would always talk about me and say positive stuff, because me and Doro always got along. I mean, there was always a natural, immediate chemistry and respect. So there wasn't like, like some bands, they break up, people talking shit, this guy's talking shit. Never was. So I was hearing from Tommy, she'd be talking about me in Hollywood, and she was doing this record. And then Gene asked, and suddenly I'm like, I'm a Kiss fan. I mean, I started playing guitar because of Kiss and Gene Simmons and all that. And I would later meet Gene a couple of times. Cool dude. And he's close to me and all that. And so we were so busy with Freight Train Jane that I never took up the offer. I honestly don't think I even properly responded to it. And now, of course, I'm like, fuck. I should have called.
Here's that chance to say, hey, Gene, if you still have that song, hey, Gene, or you want to work together. I would have loved to go there,
but I guess, there was so much momentum with Freight Train Jane. Literally, I mean, there was a ton of momentum. I mean, I got press kits a mile long with all the shit we had going on. We were in, popping all the magazines because Jane was fresh out of Black and Blue. I was fresh out of Warlock, and the band was good. Actually, it didn't suck. And actually, Pat Reagan would go on to do our record, who was doing the Doro record. So I mean, we just kept crossing. But that was a true story. I don't know if I've ever even told that to anybody on the air. But and of course, I'm like, fuck.
Life is full of opportunities. Yeah, and sometimes they just pass you by.
You got to believe that. I mean, when they say when the door closes, a window opens. Then when the window shuts, that's when you back your car through the wall. Because I've seen the window shut, the door shut. I've seen the bars go up, and that's when I start getting the howitzer, start blowing fucking holes in the side to get my opinion through. And I've done that, so it happens. I'm old school New York. You fuck with me, I'll drop a building on you.
That's not a bad way to be.
Yeah, well, but it is. I talk the talk, but I walk. I talk the talk, but I walk the walk. I follow it up. There's got to be follow through, like anything. Like even like we were talking before about relationships and stuff. There's no follow through anymore. Everyone says this, says that. Then like okay, then like, well, what the fuck happened? And I can't stand that business, personal, relate. I mean, it's a fucking carnival ride. And I'm like, I got no time to fucking waste. So I'm like, forgot about it. They say,
Yeah, and you touch on that with the whole relationship thing, and it's not just like personal relationships also, but just like within the industry, it seems like music especially has this, everybody's got this place of being vampires. Like there's so many vampires and snakes in this industry that you just don't know, like from day to day, like whether somebody's going to be cool with you. And like, I like how you said that, Doro, there was no talking shit about you at all. And then on the other hand, you've got other people that want to just, if they didn't like you, they want to try to destroy you to everybody.
You see people and all these, you got all these fucking vultures on the internet. Like, somebody will post them. All these people say great stuff, and one person's got to talk shit. Some motherfucker behind a keyboard somewhere. I'm like, come on, guy, come on, get a life. Like what is it? What does Jack Nicholson say in fucking As Few Good Men goes? I don't give a damn what you think you're entitled to. Either way, grab a weapon or stand the post. Grab a guitar, write a song, fuck off. You're going to talk shit, get on stage. And now let me see you outplay me or outsing Doro or identify who you are. Hey, you know what? Forget it. I mean, there's so many people who love to talk shit now. The internet has enabled them to be these fucking keyboard pirates. And, and like everyone's got an opinion. That's fine. Hey, you don't like the way I play? Hey, that's fine. Because no matter what you do, I could create the greatest record. I could create the greatest song, and somebody in fucking Timbuktu ain't gonna fucking like it, and that's okay, because this song where I see people flip, I go, I don't get it, but that's all right. But I don't get crass about it, Yeah,
I mean, life's too short.
In New York, they drag you out and they beat your brains out for half of this shit. You take I call like Vinny down and I call Tony Rigatoni and Joe Vinny Boombazzi be all over. Forget it. Not having it.
Yeah. Well, I'm from that generation too, that if you had to talk smack about somebody, you just go out and you stand outside and you punch it out, and then you're over it and you shake hands and you walk on. That just kind of.
I grew up in New York. I grew up in Queens, New York. I saw enough shit that spin your head, and I had two older brothers who were fucking street fighters from hell. It was crazy. People knew my brothers knew. But they weren't on the offensive. They were more than I'm saying. I'm just like, I'm a very loyal person in all aspects. You know what I'm saying? I'm very much the mafia mentality of like, never speak against the family. It's this is our business, is what we do. And, we try to bring the best thing out there. Oh my God, did I say?
I That was a Tommy Bolan nip slip.
Yeah, there you go. All right, what's on my mind? All right, forgot about it. Okay, good night. You've been good. Now I'm turning fucking red. It's bad enough. It's bad enough for those, just in case anybody's looking at me. Yes, my eyelash has gone completely white. I don't know why. It did it a few years ago. That's not gray. That is stark white against the jet black over here. So that's my thing. Just in case people are looking going, is my camera out of focus? All right. Now, you had a question somewhere in there. I don't know. Maybe
okay. So, you know, and on that, everybody's got an opinion. Well, everybody's got an asshole too. So It's really, it equates to that. So we're talking about Triumph Agony.
Yes.
What are some things that you probably think that people still don't know about the album itself? Like from the early days of what you guys did when you were out on tour and working on that album?
You mean like funny type stories, or?
You know, is there any kind of like, I guess, factual stuff about the album that maybe people have gotten wrong over the years, or that they just don't know, that maybe like the super fans would love?
Gotten wrong. Well, I jammed with Doro on Wednesday. I was asked to join the band by Friday. I mean, really very quickly. I came down, you know, the story is how I got in the band, I guess, because I've heard this sometimes get a little twisted, but it's, you know, but usually most people get it right. Joey Mallon was the producer of Doro. He was producing my other band I was in called Venus with a V. Venus. My accent kills it. Yes. Nonetheless, he called me up one night. My singer, Willie, said, "Hey, Tommy, Joey wants you to call him at 1 a.m. in the morning." I go, 1 a.m. in the morning? What the fuck's this shit? Now, Joey was, you know, serious dude, you know, very successful, been producing shit, doing commercials and jingles. The guy was, you know, top shelf there, and he was a big fan of my playing. He actually really liked the way I play guitar. And turns out, I guess he had been talking about me to Doro. You know, that's what I've been hearing. And I would later learn that, I should say. And so my singer says, call Joey at 1 a.m. I call him at 1 a.m. I go, all right. So I call Joey up. Hey, Joey, hey, Tommy, I'm Italian-Irish. So he's completely, you know, stirring the sauce type Italian, Goomba. You know, so I can do this. He goes, hey, Tom, man, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? I was going, hey, I'm doing all right, Joe. He goes, hey, I'm working there with Doro Patch. I want you to come down. You're playing a few demos. I'll throw you a couple of bucks. I'll send you a car. He goes, I want you to bring all your equipment. I go, now I was a struggling musician. I mean, I had been, you know, I wasn't, you know, rolling. I mean, I had like maybe, but I did work in the music store as a teacher. Right up to Warlock, I had about 40 students who I'm still friends with on you know, and actually my students went on to be teachers at this place. They taught all my stuff. I said it. Okay, but I'm friends with him still. But anyway, so the next thing I know, he's talking. He goes, Tommy, bring all your stuff. I had like 6 Marshall stacks, 25 guitars, tons of pedals. And I go, you want me to bring everything? He goes, bring everything. I go, all right, because my commitment to my craft, everything went into music. You know, I didn't do any drugs, didn't do any crazy shit. I was into my music. So then he said, and here's the money shot. He goes under his breath. He goes, this could be good for you. This could be really good for you. And I'm like, whoa. When he changed his pitch and his camera and his tone, I knew he wasn't fucking around. I knew, because this guy he takes serious, you know, and he was my friend and all this, but I knew I was street smart enough to know shit's up. This is something literally I was approaching a crossroads in my life. I didn't even realize it. I went down there, put all my guitars, everything. Doro walks in the room, in the studio, we're at the power station. I had all my amps, all my guitars. I'm in the other room, you know, fucking shredding. Because when I play live, if you've seen me play live, you've seen me. And then I play like that in the studio. Work myself into a full lather, out of my fucking mind, you know. I look at the guy in the Morley shirt here going fucking crazy. You know, it's a shameless plug right there.
And I've seen you doing Morley demos too, and you go crazy.
Well, look at the fine Morley Triumph Agony while they got now. There's a shameless plug.
And I've seen that in person. That's beautiful.
Yeah, this is actually in Doro's merch shop along with my guitar as well. This is a custom circuit. Very cool. Got to check that out in Doro's merch shop. All right, now that commercial's over, but no, it's good stuff here. So the next thing I know, I'm in there playing, and Joey, you know, had a way of working me. He'd go, Tommy, give me something to eat. Give me some blues, or give me some of this. So he runs the tape of Eats Meets West. I started making up all those riffs in between her voice, right there on the spot. I would later be asked to create all that type stuff, like, you know, all the little riffs in between her voice, and then they ran Make Time for Love, and they did 3. Then at that point I started playing that. Then Doro goes, I'll do a bad impersonation of her voice. She goes, do you want to play in an album? I go, yeah. She goes, yeah. And then Doro claps, and Doro's very energetic. She's big on the vibe. What you see there is the nicest person in the world. That's the legit product. She is as enthusiastic and happy at every stage of the program, whether she's doing an interview or in the studio or creating. So she's a pleasure to work with, and she's a great human being. So she was, ecstatic. I see her eyes getting really big because she was watching me flip out and play, and I'm going nuts. And she goes, look at all these guitars. He goes, this guy lives for guitar. That was the selling point of that. So then we did a 3-minute warning. Then Joey goes, all right, dude, you're going to Germany. You're making me proud. This is going great. He put me in the hallway. Next thing you know, Doro's talking in German to a manager a mile a minute, which I didn't know was going on. Next thing you know, he calls me up and goes, dude, they love the fucking tape. They love everything. The president of Phonogram is ecstatic and this and that, yada, yada. Next day he called me, he goes, come to Manhattan, get fully dressed. So I did the 220-volt cut, put on the leathers, the suit, the whole shit. And I walk into this building about 9,000 stories in the air. And I sit down, there's the manager, there's Doro and Joey. And the manager starts paying me all these compliments about my playing and this and that. He goes, we want you to join Warlock. And I go, they're waiting for an answer? I go, yeah, sure, absolutely. And Doro starts clapping again. And then he goes, all right, now this is what you do. You got to go. You need a passport. You need this. You need that. We're going here. We'll be in Germany. We're going to recall. Oh, we want to live in Manhattan, this, that. Oh, and by the way, Doro's taking you shopping next week. Like, holy shit. I'm like, fucking like, just like a zoom. I just saw the opportunity train just pull in and go, get on, kid. And I went, fuck. But, I got it being me, and then there was just a natural chemistry. And that conveyed itself into everything of Triumph and Agony. The flow of our chemistry, because the songs are mapped out. I added my stuff to it. They already had it. I mean, like I said, Doro could sing the phone book; it'd be a fucking hit. You know what I mean? But it was just a great chemistry. A great time in my life. And that was a long answer I gave you.
But it's so cool because it just shows that energy and the passion, and it takes people back to that feel of what you must have been going through right at that moment.
I was losing my fucking mind. And here's the point. I couldn't tell nobody for 2 weeks. Couldn't tell anybody because I was under wraps because they had some business they had to sort out with other shit. And I go, the other player, because at this point, this was still Warlock, and they were moving it was just a whole, there's always business involved. There's always a bunch of cooks in the kitchen, which is good until the cooks burn the meal, which I would later see that happen, But at this juncture, I couldn't tell nobody. I remember I was talking to people, they go, what is this video? I'm walking on, the last show I did with my band Venus, I had on a Warlock t-shirt. And then my singer at that point goes, what band you join? I go like this, and at that point, the cat was out of the bag. But, I couldn't tell nobody. So that's like having the lottery thing going, by the way, shut up. I'm like, fuck.
it's like getting on the Vakken lineup and you have to wait until they announce it.
Exactly.
Like, yes, it's there. Much. And people are like, all the fans are asking you, are you playing this festival? And you're like,
until the manager tells you
until they say.
Yeah. So it was a whole ordeal. But no, it was a great time in my life. And, the album changed my life. I mean, it put me on the map, and obviously everything I've done, I wear that like a great, badge of honor. I mean, I'm so happy how many people still love this record. I mean, I've had people walk up to me saying how much they love this record, what it meant to them, I get emails and messages of how they got through tough times with it, and then I mean, it's just really surreal, and it's like, think of your favorite record you heard when you came home playing all the time. I mean, we were in Spain for this recording of this. Now this will sound, all right, you know me, you've met me. Anybody who knows me, who's watched this, knows me. I think I'm a pretty humble guy. I like to talk. I like to have a good time, forget about it. But I got off the bus in Spain to sign some autographs, a bunch of fans there and all this stuff. And suddenly, I swear to God, on my mother, my parents are no longer here, so I mean this seriously. These kids were all so into the music, which I appreciate. Hey, I don't, I'm signing you up. I mean, I'm glad these people are into it. And suddenly, one kid said to me, and I swear to God, it froze me, and the hair went my arm. He started going, Tommy, he goes, because the album's so fucking great. Because you are the legend. I go, what? The legend? I go, oh, he goes, yeah. Then he went into then he explained it to me, how much the album meant to me. I'm floored. I'm like, wow, thank you. Holy shit. And I'm hearing this kid talk about it. I mean, I guess it'd be like, me meeting anybody. I was a super, the kid was just like so into the band and so into, and he said that, and I go, Lanky, he goes, yeah, you're Triumph Agony, and it's going on and on. I'm like, holy shit. And then at that point, it hit me like a brick in the head, like, this is 30 years later. This album is gone the distance. It has stayed. I mean, it was in Decibel's top 100 metal, and that's why Decibel Magazine just put us into the Hall of Fame for that. And, and I'm like, because it sold like 6 million worldwide and all that, I think is the last number I heard. But, I mean, I'd be proud if it sold 6 copies because I put my heart into it. But, I mean, granted, I'm glad people dig it, but that blew me away. That just flatlined me. I couldn't believe I was happy. I mean, better than saying, hey, kid, you suck. You know, I mean, that'd make my day go, hey, you were the asshole, you know? That could have been worse.
So let me lean right into this question, because I was thinking to ask you this as well, and this is the perfect time to do it. You've even said it yourself. I mean, when you guys were making this album, did you even imagine that 30 years later that it would still have the bite that it does and the hold, and that the impact that it's made on so many people around the world?
Well, I believe we felt energy that we were doing something really, really cool, because me and Doro, our chemistry locked right away. Then working with Joey, you know, then they brought in some other people like, Cozy Powell played on it. Actually, it was my friend who played on All We Are. And then, Michael, he played on some tracks too. And the bass playing was done by, as it said in Decibel Magazine, Skylar Deal, and he actually wanted to play with Michael Bolton and I think Billy Joel. He's a fantastic bass player. So once they mapped all that out, it was me, Joey, and Doro working on all this stuff all the time. I mean, Doro had definitely definitive ideas she wanted to do, and Joey, working with a great producer and working with Doro, would bring out, the best in me. I'd be sitting there going, what do you need? What's that? I mean, there were parts I was sitting there. I mean, if you listen to East Meets West, we were going in there going so crazy. I don't know how well, if you know that song, in that middle part, there's a break where the guitar is just being strangled. Well, that's me falling to my knees and my guitar banging up the side of the console, and there was these ramps going down the side of this big console. I'm sliding down, but they still got it rolling, and it's going. I'm like, I'm like holding the fucking note because I was holding sustain. I fell, and then the thing bang goes. That's why you go boom. Wah! I'm like, and the thing's flipping out, and and then suddenly I look up and they're all like, "That was great." I'm like, "What?" I thought I fucked up, and yeah. And then even during I Rule the Runes, they rented this huge, very expensive amp system, like the Jose amp, which is a Van Halen amp from John Suhr. John Suhr is a very well-known, famous guitar builder. I mean, Suhr guitars are legendary. I mean, they're like some of the best in the world, for customized individual stuff. I mean, I play Schecters, and Schecters are great too. No doubt Suhr is a different animal. Put it like that. So keep that organized. But we went to this whole rig, this Bradshaw system, which nobody had back then, or they had them. They were like $5,000-$10,000. So he brings it to the studio, because we went and heard it, me and Joey. Okay, great. We get any sound we want, press the button, there it is. Suddenly, he accidentally plugged in the wrong. This isn't the power station. We're getting ready to record Out of the Runes. We're on the clock. This is $250 an hour, whatever the fuck it was. Money's going out the door as fast as the Chinese food was arriving. So next thing you know, because we were eating food a lot. So suddenly, he plugs in the wrong voltage into the wrong brain. He sent 3,000 volts into the brain of the unit. Blew the motherfucker right up. And I'm like, so the thing had very little sustain. That's why if you listen to Touch of I Rule the Runes, that guitar tone is slightly different than the rest of the album. The guitar lead and all that is a little different because we were using that rig, and it was getting very hard to get it to work sustain. So I had this guitar I was playing, and I played so hard to get sustain, my fingers started to bleed. You know how hard you got to play to make your hands bleed? So when I say I gave blood in the album, I kept going. I didn't stop. I didn't complain. I just kept going. But I got going, holy shit. I noticed blood in the strings. My fingers were breaking apart. And I'm like, this is not. And that's how much take after take. And then at the end of the lead of I Rule the Runes, when you hear that's my string broke. I broke the string, but I managed to end it in tune because I was just so in the groove, and there was so much blood on the fret. I said, fuck this. I got to just make this finish. And then we took a break, and then I had a whole bunch of Marshalls. We put all my Marshalls up, and we had a sound in 15 seconds. Then the rest, of course, is just, there you go.
That is so cool. That's the kind of stories I love, because this album has meant a lot to me over my years as well. And people know that I love Doro, and that she's one of the iconic artists that really, as a female for me, that was one of my first that I actually connected with, because it was somebody who represented my genre, I guess my gender, and just the genre of metal that I love. So it was really cool to finally connect with somebody while I'm digesting things like Yngwie and, still going
she
through.
Definitely paved the way for a lot of female singers that put out now. I mean, there's definitely a lot of, quality out there, but she is, aptly titled the metal queen for a reason. I mean, she, anybody who comes in now, they're skating on the very lake she built. They're swimming in the very ocean she designed. I don't care what they say, because that's proof positive, as you know. And that's all well good, because that's a great thing. I mean, you shouldn't be discriminated against, whether you poke it out of the stripe or whatever. If it's good music, it's good. You like it, you buy the record. You don't, then, like we say, people on the internet, fuck them. You get lost. You don't like it. Next,
Your music's not going to connect with everyone, but, it's going to connect with those who want it to. So, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I listen to everything. Depends on my mood. I mean, it really depends what the hell I want to hear. I listen to anything from blowing the speakers apart to friggin' you name it. I mean, you know. So
what's the most shocking type of music or artist that you listen to that you think people would not like? Like
here we go. Hang me out to dry here. Well, shit. Kylie Minogue was on with that. What's that song? La 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 la.
It's the one Coming to My Room, or I've got the album, so
yeah,
I'm not ashamed. I have that one.
Bringing that Cascade with Dead Mouse. I remember people wouldn't. I love that stuff with mood. You know, anything has mood or feel. I was listening to Gary Jules' Mad World before too. You know, and then next thing you know, I'm got some Warlock on. I got some Judas Priest on. You know, or you know, even the Cars. You know, I mean, pretty much Elliot Easton. I mean, he's a very underrated guitar player in my opinion. You can sing all of his solos in the Cars' first album. You know, Judas Priest, Scream of Vengeance. I think I wore the grooves out of that. You know, I mean, it's whatever mood I want to be in, wherever I want to go. You know, what do I feel like doing? If I'm working out, I'll put on the YouTube thing, and I'll just start randomly picking whatever, the Church Under the Milky Way, or it'll be friggin' Free Will Burning. The next one comes up, so it goes, you know, all over the place. Then when I play, I mean, I have my own band which I sing and play called NYC. It's been a little dormant at the moment because I've been so busy with all this, but you know, I write songs, and I'm also a singer as well, or I should say screamer. You know, or just I don't know. It's not like, you know, just somebody just flipping out or something. I don't know. But you can, you know, it's out there. I'm supposed to finish that record too. You know, then I'm always keeping busy doing something.
So tell me, what was the last, I guess, 20 months of this COVID time has it been for you?
Honestly, well, let's see. Redefine loneliness and weird, man. It's definitely a weird, surreal feeling because I live by myself, you know, and there's at the moment, there's nobody in my life, I should say, I guess. That sounds odd to say, but so it's been, you know, I worked on my house, you know, took more working out, lifting weights. I put a universal in the house, put weights in the house, got a treadmill in the house. So I kept fit, you know, I kept healthy that way. But it's, you know, you can only watch so much fucking TV. I mean, I'm always working on music. I got guitars all over the place. I collect stamps, vintage toys, G.I. Joes, Hot Wheels, diecast toy. I mean, you name it. You know, I still buy Hot Wheels and Matchbox. I go to the store. I love that shit, you know. I mean, but you know, then in the meantime, as we talked a little bit before, trying to meet somebody, well, that'd be nice because and the weird part is right before COVID, the relationship I was having ended abruptly. And I'm like, perfect timing. As you go into lockdown into your cave, you know, and that's another six-pack in a piece. I could do a whole segment on that with you, you know, Godspeed, Spider-Man. I wish you the best, but hello, you know, so it just, it's weird because, and also, you know, my parents were married 43 years, monogamous by design, held hands on the couch every night. I'm trying to meet somebody of quality, which is, you know, I've met some cool people. Some of them are on the wrong continent, you know, I mean, it is what it is, you know, I mean, but, so I guess it's been a very weird feeling of, I guess a weird lonely feeling. I mean, you can discover yourself, but I kind of knew myself already. So I don't know. As stupid as that sounds. I mean, there's been some people it's been worse. I mean, knock on wood, I'm glad I've got my health. I mean, you know, I never got sick. We came back from the mega cruise. My tech, one of Doro's techs, our tech went back to the Netherlands, full-blown COVID. Full-blown sick as a dog. I never get the flu. I never get sick, knock on wood. I mean, I got vaccinated because I know I need that to fly and all that, but I can't tell you the last time I've ever been sick. You know, I don't eat a lot of junk and all that shit either, but I have always had a great immune system. Of course, now that I said this, I'll probably puke after this. But, you know.
Well, you know, I came home after NAMM last year, and I thought I had anthrax, and I actually had COVID.
I've heard that
I had COVID, and I was so sick, and it was really before they were really testing, and they thought it was too early. And, you know, it started that's this 20-month sabbatical at home in the weirdest way. And
it's just weird. I mean, you know, I love movies. I have great recall on movies. I mean, my best friend who I talk with all the time, Chaz, we constantly talk in movie talk all the time. Like, you know, quoting this movie, quoting De Niro or this, that. So, I mean, Seinfeld, I speak Seinfeld fluently, you know. I mean, I know all that shit. So you can, you know, I worked on the house, bought some furniture, worked on stuff. I was up at dark 30 this morning. They put a new air conditioner on the roof. This big 500-pound motherfucker, you know, fucking had a crane outside. But, you know, now the air's on. I was dying last week. I thought I was in rough shape last week. I'm all right now. I was in rough shape last week. Is that Rodney Dangerfield? But, so I guess to answer your questions, you can obviously see I've gone fucking crazy. I need to get on. I need to get on a stage immediately.
Let me ask you: have you gone crazy, like Kramer crazy, where you're washing your vegetables in the shower?
Oh, you mean with the food processor with the clasp and all that? You know, I'm building levels in my house right now. I'm doing the JP. I'm the real J. Peterman. Did you know that? I'm the real J. Peterman. I'm giving tours out right now. Those are all my stories. Now, you know what's funny? My friends at Morley, they're tremendous Seinfeld fans. So I'll talk with them Seinfeld. I am their latex salesman. He's gonna fucking lose it. Hey, Scott, what's up? Hey, Morley, forget about it.
This is what happens when you go into lockdown. I think that
I lost my mind. Look, I got crates and crates of G.I. Joe stuff here. Forgot about it. Yeah. I got about 50 of these bastards all over the place. And but I love that stuff. I love to collect, honestly, seriously. That occupied a lot of my time, but also I worked on music and this, that, but that I started working out like a motherfucker. I mean, that's funny. If you look at the video of me that's coming out in Triumph Agony, I lost a shitload of weight and then started working out and built the weight back as muscle. So I look the same, but I'm probably in the best shape I've been in. Why am I telling you this? This is I don't know. But you asked what happened in lockdown, so this is what I've been doing. I've been all work and no play makes Tommy a dull boy. So I need to get on a stage. I need some loud amplifiers. Now I got some really good friends of mine here. My friend Tristan, my friend Drew. They drag me out all the time, especially my friend Tristan. And we go out and you may see some posts of a bottle of wine on my Instagram and all that. He's a wine connoisseur, and we just go out, have a good time, and get out, relax, and then because there's so much bullshit that stacks up, and obviously I'm very getting back to the Triumph Agony Live coming out. The 24th, and the fact she's doing the CD, DVD, Blu-ray, cassette, vinyl, the giant Warlock and all that stuff. It's like fucking, that thing's bigger than her. So I'm like, cool. So that's I'm looking forward to touring to support that, and that should be really great. And that's something to look forward to. She's got a bunch of shows now, but I don't know because of all the COVID, it's changing. Now I see they're marching in Germany, they're marching in France. Now I got to wear a mask in Los Angeles. Obviously, health and safety, of course, I'm all for it. I'm not preaching anything. I'm not doing a political commentary here, but all I can say is it's fucking the hell out of the music industry. So,
yeah.
And
then you see like Corey Taylor and Jonathan Davis have both gotten COVID while they've been out on tour. And it's
just got it. He had the vaccine and he just got COVID. So this is freaking me out. I had 2 of the Pfizer shots. I'm like, well, you still get it now? Now it's a Delta variant. What's next? Delta Mach 2, Delta, Alpha, Beta, Gamma. What the fuck's next? Eventually, this is going to turn into something. Once they get a handle on this, it's going to be like, there's the flu shot, there's the flu, there's COVID. Hopefully, people stop dying. Because I know of people, friends of friends, who have died on this. And it's very sad, no joke about it, and then there's, then everything's been politicized to hell. So it's here it's just, it's just fucking chaos. So
yeah,
it levels out. They get a handle on this, and then, things can at least get back to a normalcy where we can go out and, play. Doro, I think, finally did the Alcatraz Festival. I saw her talking about it. There was a crowd as opposed to people in beach chairs and huts, which, hey, I'll play the fucking drive-in right now. I'll play the supermarket. I'll set up a 7-Eleven at this point, but you said tell me there's a crowd down there just because I want to play, I want to make some noise, but it's got to make sense. You know what I'm saying? Safety, all that,
Yeah.
There's always more than just one person involved. There's a whole crew. There's this, there's promoters, there's this, that, the other thing, And I think you had a question there again. I went, boom.
Oh no, I say that because when Doro and I were talking a couple weeks ago, we were talking about she was going to be doing the Bullhead City at Wacken, and I think the last time I actually saw Doro was at Wacken in 2019. I actually caught her press conference while I was over there and everything. And
2019.
Yeah, she came out for some press. She was there for something. I don't believe.
That would be before 2019. Oh, you maybe did some. That's right. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, she was there doing something because she was doing
2018. That's right. Yes, you're right. Correct.
Yeah, I couldn't completely follow along because she did most of the interview in German for her the press conference. But that's like the last time, like the really last huge event that I actually went to was Wacken. I came home and I think I did like a couple of shows. They came back to NAMM, shot the She-Rocks, and came back and did a Queensryche show, and then it was all over. Like that's then it was like lockdown, COVID, I'm sick. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it kind of sucks because she was really looking forward to doing the Bullhead City show. And so, but
yeah, I mean, there's a good chance I might have went out and played that one.
Yeah.
I was waiting to, I was waiting on to hear from management and all that, but it was just, so much shit was flipping around, so crazy.
Yeah. And so let's talk about the elephant in the room, which is what Triumph and Agony Live, because we were talking before we started recording about how you sent a bunch of stuff to Doro to include in the Blu-ray.
Yeah, well, there's a cool thing on the record, which fans will get to hear. It's a short little thing, but if people have read the track list, which has already been publicly released, and you may have even heard slightly part of it on when she put a little teaser of Touch of Evil. The beginning of Touch of Evil, if you've heard that ominous, spooky intro, that's actually like the high school intro I used to do with my band called Legacy back when I was 15 or 16. I don't know what year in high school, what the fuck that was. And I used to use my guitar synthesizer, and I used to do that, that wah, 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 that whole intro you heard. So I was talking to Doro about that, and she said, why don't you create something based on that? So I got all these great Tascam recorders, which actually I used my Tascam machines to record even on the tracks I sent her for Forever Warriors. I played on All for Metal. I played on Turn It Up. I think me singing at the end of Turn It Up. I don't know if you heard that. I was singing at the end. That's me singing, Turn It Up louder.
I don't know that I recognize that was you, but I've definitely heard it.
That's me at the end screaming, turn it up! Yeah, that's me. That was me singing. I did the guitar in it too, And then, of course, I did the song with her that she did the duet with Johan, If I Can't Have You, No One Will. That's all me. I wrote that with her and did that song. So, that was, if I used my Tascam machines to send those tracks there, it was just, easier to do at that given moment because the scheduling is just crazy. I mean, we thought about going to Germany and stuff, but then, okay, let's just do that. And of course, now during COVID lockdown, wasn't going nowhere. So I had a Tascam DP32 and, shameless plug, and I recorded in my back room, my studio, and Tascam actually just got a great ad of me in the that Decibel magazine thing, congratulating me on the Triumph and Agony. Okay, back to the story. So she said, create something on that. And I said, all right. So I put something together. It's based on that, put a whole bunch of tracks, a whole bunch of ideas. I sent it to her, and she totally fucking dug it, and she put her touches on it with some cool shit, which I won't give away what it is, but you'll see. And that opens the album, then it goes into the drums, and then the song starts. So if you go back and check her post for the Touch of Evil teaser, you'll hear the very tail end of that, So I created that here, and that's it was called, and I named it Legacy to tie in with that. Was for my band Legacy, and it actually ties in Legacy what this album is too. So it's kind of it fit in so many ways, So yeah, it was definitely that album coming out, it's really great. And there's behind the scenes video interviews. We talked. I did some filming. I was interviewed. I haven't seen the cut of it, but I did the video of myself. I was interviewed back in Spain. We did some of the Spanish choir, and she did an interview. And then I took a whole bunch of pictures of all my memorabilia. That's why if you saw the last post, she had all those pictures go across in like a Polaroid. Some of those were actually personal photos of mine that I sent to her pictures of. And a lot of it's because Doro, of course, got a whole warehouses of this stuff. We forgot about it. And I think she even put some footage of us when we played with Megadeth in Manhattan, back, on the Triumph and Agony tour itself. So if you're a Triumph and Agony fan, this is the shit. This is absolutely the cool shit. And then, everything I got is Triumph and Agony. Now I'm trying to find an lean here to get something. You can see that. Even my guitar pick.
Yes, and you gave me one at NAMM the last time we saw each other, and it walked away in Sweden.
Well, I will get you another one.
I was like, not the Warlock pick, not the Warlock pick.
Because oddly enough, I never had a signature pick during my time in Warlock. Oddly enough.
You did it. That's insane.
People have asked me, and that's why it's funny. When I look online, I see people with these shirts. Oh, Warlock, Triumph and Agony tour shirt. I go, that's not real. Because there was only 2 Triumph and Agony tour shirts. That's a 1988 tour. One with the Warlock and then a picture on the back. And then there's another one that was done with like more of a blue outline. And then there was a jersey, and then there was also a sweatshirt as well. And then there's very rare tour jacket because Adidas was one of our sponsors. I think there was only 7 of them made. And I got mine finally back. They've been sitting in storage in New York for the longest time. That's another 6-pack of a pizza to talk about. But it says, Warlock, Triumph, and Agony. And it had been sitting there forever. And I got it. And then suddenly somebody started posting pictures of Doro in Scotland. She's wearing hers. Like, holy shit, there it is. And I hadn't seen any photos of this anywhere. And I love collecting that cool shit. I mean, I got like, old SIR tags and rehearsals say Warlock on it. My old luggage tags say Warlock. My laminates, and it's just cool shit. My father was a big collector. My parents are gone now, but my father and my mother traveled the whole world. They weren't rich. They just were smart with their money. And they used to collect all sorts of knickknacks and tours. So I'm the guy going in for the knickknack. I got kitchen magnets. I got the little tchotchkes. I got the doohickey, this, that. I got all that shit, I love that stuff. My father used to do something. Whenever he would go to any place, whether it be China, Israel, Greece, he'd pick up a rock, any rock he could find, just a little rock, and then he would paint on it. He'd take it home, he'd paint on it, like model paint, and write where it was from. So I got all these rocks like Israel, Greece, Spain, the Greek ruins that he picked up when he was there. So I remember traveling all the time. We'd always finding a rock for Dad so we can bring it home. And we went up and down vacation constantly. I have two brothers, and my mother, my father, and we used to travel all the time together. And he did photo albums on all this. I have photo albums you can actually see, and he had so much Warlock press in there. I mean, because my father was a big collector of that, and so I have a scrapbook my father built on me. It's just I wish they could see more of this, and I wish a lot of people could see a lot of things that are no longer with us. What can you do though?
Yeah. So two questions on this. First is, now do you think you're going to get people coming up to you on tour bringing you rocks? Because we had this really cool beach up here north of Seattle that it's a pebble, like this really cool.
That's really interesting. Well, I guess it'll be a testimony to, but I always buy the kitchen magnet where I'm at. I always buy some sort of souvenir, like especially going back on tour with Doro and all this, going to all these other countries. I was buying like, kitchen magnets, knickknacks, and, little doohickeys. And, I'm looking at my shelf over there, which is just loaded with shit. But yeah, well, as long as they're not throwing them at me, I guess that's all right.
Well, it's so funny because Metal Church a few years back, when they came back after being on hiatus for a while, and Mike Howe, like one of the first shows that they did.
We toured with them. We had the same management in America.
Did you ever see the rocks they had that said Metal Church, and they had like love rocks? And I laughed and I asked the guys, I'm like,
no.
And they were giving them out like while they were buying merch, and I was like, do you guys realize if your show is bad, people are going to stone you? Like,
that's that's not a good idea to arm the crowd with weapons if you're not totally sure the crowd is there. Yes.
Yeah. But I'd never been to a show where like they gave you a rock, but it had like, they had the what is that they call when you put paper on a table and then you like shellac it over? But it was like kind of like that. Like they'd put the paper on the rocks. And yeah. That's yeah. So like, don't ever give anybody something they can propel at you at a show.
Yeah, it's definitely not a good idea to arm. I mean, we played Europe. I remember playing in Europe on the Triumph Agony tour, and they used to throw money in Italy. And I remember seeing my tech out there with a broom sweeping the shit up. It's cash.
Damn.
And then I remember when they threw a bottle, went right by Hendrickson's head and missed him it's dangerous. It can be, I remember when we toured with Megadeth in Atlanta, they came on stage before the crew, the people said, we will not tolerate any stage diving. There will be no stage diving here. And of course, the place is out of its mind, So suddenly, friggin' some guy comes on stage and all something like 8 gorillas come running out, grab this guy and Superman him into the fucking couple of rows in, and they just stood there like I mean, it was nuts. I mean, we played with Megadeth at the Orpheum Theater. Guys up in the balcony. I was there. My cousin lives in Boston, and this guy jumps off the balcony onto the PA, splat right on the stage. I mean, at least 20 feet. I'm like, what the? Then of course he's staggering to get up. The Megadeth row comes out, fucking grab him, Superman him into the fucking gone. It was just fucking nuts. I mean, you see some crazy shit. It's definitely. I mean, my roadie, my tech used to carry a big giant. My tech, John Walsh. He's tech for everybody. He was Eric Carr's tech, and he was stage manager for Bowie and friggin' Stevie Wonder. And now he's Alan White from Yes. Great guy. He used to have this.
Alan's from up here.
Well, yeah. John J.W., still friends with him. He's on this coast now. He's from New York. He was my tech during Warlock. And he used to carry this giant brown wiffle ball bat. Maybe see those wiffle ball bats, the plastic ones, and they get really big and fat in the end.
Like the Captain Caveman bat?
Yeah, it's a caveman bat. So I'll never forget, we had these clothes that were done for us this is why people say I should write a book. I just keep going. We had these clothes that were made with all these ponchos down the side, like those cowboy things. So I'll never forget, there was one really, let's just say enthusiastic fan. She grabbed my poncho because he was at the perfect height, pulled me, put her arm over it, and then proceeded and pulled me. And all of a sudden I turned sideways like this. And my guitar neck, I had a pointy guitar headstock. And she's pulling me in, and her friends are pulling her, and I'm like bracing myself, going, "What the fuck are you doing? I'm gonna fall in!" And I'm going in. That's it. I'm going down. Because this thing is bolted to there's no way to tear this off. So as this is happening, and she's pulling me into the crowd, I'm a dead man going, and I'm going. I'm sure someone's gonna get a guitar headstock through their fucking skull. Suddenly, John Walsh, JW, comes running outside with the bat, and he comes down and goes, bam, 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 and he's beating her, and she's not letting go. And everyone's up, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You're gonna kill me, And finally, she let go after he wailed on her for like 5 consecutive hits. And then at that point, I don't know if they removed her, but I remember she was there for a bit, kept doing this, and I appreciate someone being into the show, absolutely. But don't kill me,
Yeah, don't pull the people off the stage.
No, it's not a good idea. A guy with a sharp instrument to fall into a crowd, and it was, of course, it was packed to the front,
Yeah.
Packed to the teeth. It's just fucking nuts.
Have you ever been on the receiving end at a festival gig where people toss bottles of piss? Because I've seen that in Europe.
I've heard about that. I think I heard Dee Snider talking about that once. How much do you hate a band to throw your own shit at somebody? You gotta really be fucking hating that act to grab your own shit and just wham. You gotta be fucking,
Yeah, that's a big thing in Europe that I've seen happen quite a few times, and I've been under it when they've sailed by, and that's luckily, just the worst.
Thank God. I guess I don't know. Maybe I mostly I gotta say when we play this, thank God, applause. And for the most part, people are singing along but there's always that one derelict who wants to make the move. But thank God, no, I've got no. And of course, now that I've said that, it's gonna be pig's blood ahead of me. I'll be like Carrie, I'll be dumping shit on my fucking skull, You're
just like monkeys that like to throw their shit.
Or that guy from the Poltergeist is gonna come to my dressing room before I go and goes, "You're gonna die in there," and the guy with the hat and shit. I'm gonna get fucking whacked. So now that I said that, I'm finished.
Well, and you say about how like people normally are singing along for your shows, and I was at that Sweden Rock show when you guys did Triumph and Agony, and the crowd was just insane because I think it finally, like sitting there and watching people, I realized what was actually happening with the band's performance and that what album was actually being played. It was kind of a cool thing to like when they see.
It was a big electricity because we were very excited because that was the first time the Warlock banner had flown in all those years, And that, of course, that album remained a staple in Doro's set. A lot of the songs and even that image of that Warlock, and I was glad to be part of that. And then when the magic started happening, then we started going into songs they never heard, and we're playing it. I did one interview with one guy, this guy Marco, who actually took the photo that we used on the cover, and his friend, he sat there and goes, "I cried during another." I've met other people who said they cried, and that's what I mean. This album transcends even by what it means. Now it means the world to me because it created my world, but what it gave to other people. And I'm not saying this from a stuck up or hey, check me out kind of way. No, I'm saying this is what I'm getting feedback on. This is what I'm seeing from the fans. And there were so many people, just, unglued from it. You're a perfect witness. You were there. I can sit here and sell you all day. And plus now we're going to be given the DVD of it. So, and there was a lot of, and like I said, it was like coming home to play with Doro again, and she's got a great band. So it was just like a seamless interaction, and so, she always gives 10,000% anyway, as like myself, I'll play till I explode. I'll work myself into a full lather, forget about it, but she just, the crowd is so bonded to her, and I feed off of her energy and they're just magnetized. That's the way I always look at it.
Yeah, and that the whole environment, man, as for me anyway, going to festivals overseas, it's like you can smell the environment even when you're. Oh yeah,
metal in Europe is another planet. Yeah, and the American fans are great, but I feel bad for the American fans the fact that they're not given these forums to experience. And if they are, they're unlimited versions or scaled down versions or really I don't want to say policed, but not as much as like, in Europe where it's so, a way of life over there. Metal is life. And it is, of course, American fans absolutely too. I wish when American fans, if they could see those type of festivals, they would get it and they would get that thirst for it. And rightly so. I mean, some places in America have tried to do it and they've done some good festivals here. But obviously, as the European festivals, like, off the fucking grid.
Well, and it's also, I think it's just the environment that, because I think a lot of the American crowds, they come, they want to get drunk and then they want to start fighting. And in Europe, it's not like that. It's like you're having your drinks and you're with your best friends and everybody's your best friend. And
I guess I've seen that go in both directions, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. It's just like a different vibe. Yeah. But I think that like, just from watching the gig itself, like, and watching everyone, and then to look up and see, like, it was the most perfect afternoon. The weather was beautiful.
Oh yeah. We got really,
it was no rain that day. It was perfect.
I'll tell you a horror story nobody knows. Right before we went on, when I came over, all my equipment runs on 110 US voltage. All of Doro's equipment is 220 because it's all there. Those guys, Doro's other band members, they live in Luca's in Italy and Boss is in the Netherlands, and Johnny's American, but he's his stuff was already set today, and Nick is in Pennsylvania. So, but they have all their stuff set 220. I'm flying over, so they got me a little converter, this little fucking thingamajiggy, which even later the sound man, Doro Soundman goes, that thing is junk. I wouldn't plug a hairdryer into it. Quote unquote. Now nobody knew. I didn't know. But in rehearsal, thing worked fine. Worked perfectly fine. No worries. I had my rig, had my sounds down, so all good. I'm like, all right, here we go. So the next thing I know, we get up there, we're setting up, there's the crowd. And suddenly, what I didn't know is this fucking box is so cheap that if you plug it in this way, fine. You plug it in the other way, it don't work. But there's nothing, no, not a boom. Just nothing. And I'm like, what the fuck? So suddenly, my pedal board is dead. And I'm thinking, I carry backup of everything. I'm ready for everything to break in half, and I got another one ready to go because I've seen that movie. I've started it too many fucking times, and I'll plug into a blender at this point to make it work. I don't care, But so I got good equipment, I got good shit, that I like. You bring a scaled down flyer rig, but it does the job. So suddenly I'm thinking, okay, power's gone to fuck. Now, the Sweden Rock stage is very high. It's a big, long staircase. And then our dressing room is all the way down in Cleveland in some other tent. So I've just had a heart attack. And the fans are pulling up. And there's the band looking at me. And the soundman's like, well, it ain't going to work and this, that. And I'm like, so the type of anxiety I felt is unchartable. But I keep my shit together. I bolt to the other adapters. I come out, turn the pedal board upside down because I built the pedal board. So I know what exactly hooking up to. So I sit there, I bypass these things, put on some other adapters, this, that, and even the tech goes, hey, good recovery. And I had all these adapters sitting there like with spaghetti because I had to fucking go into panic mode, and I plug it back in, and all I did without even realizing it, I plugged it in the original way. So it's back on. I'm like, nobody go near this. And the motherfucker worked, and literally 5 minutes later, we're on stage. So if there's any video of me where I look white as a ghost and I look like a dead man walking or I'm running at 90 miles an hour, it's because I've just had a cardiac arrest waiting for my pedal board. So luckily, then I sussed that problem out. We went, and then if you look at pictures of us in Grass Pop in Belgium, I got this converter the size of a car battery. Because we went and tested it. Everyone's like, oh, Tommy, your gear. I go, no, it's and then one of Doro's texts, we went to this complete rental warehouse where all the fans get their backline. And I said, I'm grateful we have the ability to test my shit. So this is for, I think it was Norway. Was it Norway or one of the other gigs we were doing somewhere? Oh, Belgium. I'm sorry, Belgium, Grass Pop. So they test the whole thing and they go, and then they buy this other big adapter, this big battery. So if you look at my picture of me on Grass Pop, there's this car battery in front of my shit. Now it worked great and there was less noise. So I said, there's got to be a better way. So I started doing research. The pedal board I used, the primary functioning part ran on AC, which is a bitch to convert. So then I went and converted it. I bought the DC model, which came out later. I used to use this. I used a Digitech RP1000, and then I got the Digitech DC model one. Got an adapter. So now my pedal board, you plug it in, it works on 220 or 110 seamlessly. Just change the jack. So I don't star in that movie anymore. Of course, now that I've said that, everything's gonna break. But I'll plug into a blender. I'll make, just give me a fucking amp and a speaker. I'll make it work. I mean, granted, I love all my toys and, I got all the bells and the whistles. And I love that shit because I had all that in Triumph Agony. I did a lot of cool noises and this, that. My guitar. Like if you listen to I Rule the Runes, when Doro says, what's that one about, somebody saved me, my guitar cries answering her. Then felt the devil's breeze. You hear my guitar go, whirr. Everything was very much, she would sing, I'd play. She'd sing, I'd play, and it was very much like that. I was always answering her for all that stuff, and that was so I was using, and then even Touch of Evil, that when the second verse comes in, my guitar flips out and goes, I create that live too. So, or you can just do it with your mouth to the microphone and you get the same sound.
That's awesome. There's so much cool, to hear the backside of an album that iconically is one that, like you said, I love that album. It's not lip service oh, hey, let me talk about my album.
I know you do. Yeah. That means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. It's so cool to hear the backstory on it. But outside of Doro, I mean, you've got NYC, which is your other project, but then you were talking about before we came on, you did some Bonsai and then. Yeah,
Bonsai is I played with Richard Ramone for a while, a few years ago. I did his comeback album. Richard Ramone was the drummer of the Ramones for 5 years, and he was, one of the Ramones. So he came back out of retirement. I did his album called Entitled. This is right before I played with Doro a few years before. And I did all the guitars on it. I even wrote on it. And the bass player is a friend of mine, Jiro Okabe, who has his own band called Jiro, like a punk rock type band. And he does really well in South America. I write a lot of his lyrics with him. I write songs with him. And he's one of my best friends. Great guy. And we became friends in that band because, the Richard Ramone album did good. We played in ANZ Stadium where the Olympics were. We played with Van Halen and Aerosmith. We did some shows with Buck Cherry in friggin' Melbourne. And then we also played South America, which the Ramones were a religion down in South America. I even used to sing, Blitzkrieg Bob, Warthog. I used to sing some of that stuff. There's video of this online. And, Rich is a fantastic drummer. So the album's great. I like the album. It's, I get the shred, go crazy. And it's different than anything I've done, but I'm proud of it. So, Jiro became subsequently one of my best friends, and we put a band together called Bonsai, and it's just like shredding good stuff. And we had the album called Can't Stop Me. He sings, I sing. And then we had the drummer from Accept, Christopher Williams. He played on most of it. We were going to go do a tour in Europe, in England. I had it all set, but then it just, some shit just started hitting the fan and all that, and we didn't get panned out. But we'll still probably do some follow-up eventually, And but that's something that's always on my agenda, to do that. And then NYC, the band I sing lead in that. And I started that band many years ago, and now pretty much it's just me. So I got to just finish the record. I actually have some good opportunities now. Of course, playing back with Doro and Warlock is put a lot more attention on what I'm doing, which I'm glad for and and thankful for. So I got a couple of opportunities to finish that record. I got so much stuff written, and one of my best friends, Tristan's like, finish the record. I'm like. I got all the machines to do it. I just got to, bear down and do it. I've been doing other stuff and, got some stuff in my personal life, which totally went this way. I had to go that way to fix it. And it just became, then of course, COVID lockdown hit and, that definitely derailed. But that's my main focus, and then of course, always ready to go to war and work with Doro anytime.
Absolutely. Now, are you doing any teaching or anything while you've been in lockdown?
Not really. I mean, I taught guitar for 5 years. Right before I joined Warlock, I was a teacher. I had about 40 students or so. And I have a DVD out called Metal Primer I did a few years back, which is sold by Alfred Publishing. And you can see, on my Instagram, there's like links of it somewhere, but I never had, I've had people say, hey, do another book or do a book. I consulted on some books years ago with a very famous jazz guitar player called Jimmy Stewart, who was a great friend of mine. He's since passed away, but he was a legend. And a great friend of mine. I miss him a lot. And I did that. But, I've had offers to do other stuff, but I just, I never really, I just been so busy and, sorting out some other stuff right now that I haven't made that a priority. I got some friends who I might show some stuff to, and my friend Tristan, I might jam with him and, show him some cool shit. But for the most part, I haven't made that a priority for me.
Anything else you haven't done yet that you want to do?
Go to Paris. I've been to Paris actually. Go to the Eiffel Tower. Anything I want to do that I haven't done? Wow, that's a good question. Wish I had a good answer. I mean, I love to continue, keep doing stuff with Doro and Warlock, and then get my record out and see where that, put legs on that and see what happens. I guess I'd really just like to complete the equation of happiness. You know what I'm saying? That would be an end game, find a proper queen for the castle, and, build a moat, raise the drawbridge, fill with crocodiles, and just don't be bothered by anybody.
Now, let me ask you, because when you kind of walked into this one, so I'm going to ask you, because before we came on, Tommy and I were joking about what a monstrosity it is for dating today, and like the online apps and how horrible, like what a nightmare. And I'm sure a lot of you out there are nodding your heads going, yep, I can totally agree with this, because I do this on Facebook with tons of friends. We're always talking about what a disaster it is.
It is, yes.
So it is. So when you talk about finding this perfect queen for your castle, what does that look like? And what do you think about this whole world of dating today, and like how social media has just killed any it's become like very contrived, and and there's some people you just know are just not playing with a full deck. And I'm not saying I'm the sane. Look, I never claimed to be sane, but I apply my insanity for positive results. There's a difference. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm a little more organized than than the typical fucking Hollywood bozos out here doing shit, and they know who they are, those bozos, mind you. And you've met some of those bozos.
You know these men. And you know what it is? Anytime I've ever met anybody, they've dated Satan right before I show up. They've dated the most horrible example of a man I've ever heard in my life. And then just when I think I've heard it all, I meet some other girl, and then I'll hear this other horror story. And I'm like, and then I come along and I'm nice, and I have one girl tell me, oh, someone as nice as you will never be alone. I ask her, I'm like, what do I do with that? I go, well, so it's very hard to process, because a lot of people have an agenda, or if they meet somebody with it, like I want to find someone I can adore, someone I can get along with that wants to adore me. You got to have the chemistry. Once you have the chemistry and the physical attraction, and I've told this story before, then you cut through the trees like an animal, you find the other animal, and then you talk to the person. Next thing you know, all right, are you attracted to the inside as much as the outside? Does the body, the soul, is it all gelling? Then you got some chemistry going. Then slowly but surely, the heart comes out of the closet, falls in love with the body, and the mind desires. Now you have a perfect triangle, and you build from there. You build one side too quick if it's all this or that. You can't be just like, sitting around talking about, science projects. It's got to be, you can't be, if you're all just living in the bedroom 24/7, well, yeah, okay, but you have to go out and go have a drink or see a movie. So it's got to be organized, and your heart's got to get involved eventually. So, but out here, so many people have been fried, dyed, and laid to the side. And they're just cooked, fried, and everything I do is based on passion, music, this, that. I'm Irish Italian. I'm from New York. I'm going to give you the straight deal. I'm going to tell you, but people, as you know, you get in, or the problem gets in them before they do. Now, I'm a strong man. My father was very strong. My mother passed away from cancer. I had it for 9 years. My father was a tank, and my mother was very strong, and I watched that. They would adore each other. I emulate that. Here, people, and I've met some quality people, but then there's just like, it's the follow through. If you're going to say this and this, then I'm going to expect that and that. And if you don't want me to expect that and that, don't say this and this. Lose my number.
Say what you mean and mean what you say, damn it.
What?
It's say what you mean and mean what you say.
Exactly. Talk the talk, but walk the fucking walk. It puts the lotion in the basket or it gets the hose.
The lotion in the basket, bitch.
Well, I'm a little more polite than that, but you know what I'm saying. So, and look,
that's one of my favorite movies.
I'm not saying I'm Christ and I walk on water, but I'll own what I say. You know what I'm saying? If I put it on vinyl, I'm going to back it up. Like if I give you my word, and my actions will speak louder than my words. It's just like anything. It's like what you see on stage. I remember it's just as you know, it's blown my mind. Some of the shit. I can't even go into some of this stuff, but and I've had a major reorganization of my life that has changed just by a couple of years ago, which shocked me. And I had to and I've seen this movie before, if you follow what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I've still had to play music through it, and music has always been the constant, I mean, yeah, you can write all the fuck you songs, the hate you song, oh, yada, yada, yada. The love, but, you get inspiration from everything. And there are moments, yeah, I mean, it gets lonely in Los Angeles, but, in the same sense, I don't just want company for the sake of company, And then there's, I said, there's sometimes, unfortunately, geography plays a big play in it. You can't follow through on certain things because of geography, or just, there's got to be chemistry, like in music, the song, I mean, you keep, you go to that show because you like that band, you hang out with that person because you like that person, and you either build or you don't, and hopefully they don't, they don't fucking cook your bunny or some shit,
Holy shit, these New York phrases are killing me.
I mean, it just is what it is.
And on that, you cook your bunny.
When I first grew up, not that I can say I've ever grown up, when I first I wanted to be a race car driver, and then I wanted to be a comedian. So during grammar school, from 2nd to 8th grade, I was doing comedy shows. Just get up in front of the class, do a cheap imitation of Bugs Bunny like a fucking maniac. And then I found the guitar, and everything went out the window. I mean, I just became obsessed with guitars. All I did was talk about fucking guitar all day long. Every time I would shovel snow, fucking walk dog, anything to raise money. Now my parents, were, very, generous to me in many ways. Now my mother was a secretary, my father was a postman, but even I was in a band before Warlock called Armed Forces. We had an album called Let There Be Metal, which actually Metal Forces magazine said, and I quote, "You've discovered the metal band of the 80s. Kid you not. It's a good album, good band, in tune with what the day was given. And I'm still friends with all the dudes, and my singer Scott, actually, he's in Vegas and all that, and some of the other dudes. The other guy, Joe, became a fireman. I think Steve's back in New York, and Mike became a paramedic. But I remember we were recording the album. I guess I'm answering a real long-winded question here. We recorded the album in Long Island at Kingdom Sound. That's where Joan Jett. We walk in this Joan Jett's gear, Zebra's gear, Boys to Colts gear, and I'm walking in with a beat-up fucking guitar. I mean, I had good equipment, but I said, oh shit, I need better shit. So I remember I asked my parents to borrow, I say borrow is giving. Who borrows from their parents, But I asked my parents, look, I'm going, they saw that I was doing this. They saw how dedicated I was, and I was never a problem to them. I was, I love my parents, very close. And I needed $3,000. I wanted to buy a Jackson. I wanted to buy this. And, they knew this was going to be an album. This was, I'm not going to make a cassette in some kid's basement. This is fucking shit. So I remember I was walking, I've told this story before to a couple of people, but I was walking, I had a 3-story house in Queens. I was coming down the staircase. My parents didn't know, and they were in the other room talking. Why are you squinting?
Oh, I thought you were going to say you fell down with your guitar or something.
No, I didn't fall. No, I didn't fall. I'm like getting ready for a punchline. No, I'm coming down there. My parents, my father's name was Pat, my mother's name is Yolanda. So my father goes, my mother goes, Pat, that's a lot of money. And my father goes, yo, if we don't give him a break, who's gonna? And they gave me the money.
Wow.
And and they did live to see Warlock. And so I'll never forget. Oh my God. One time in Manhattan, I was right after I joined with Doro. I was in a meeting with Doro and somebody else, and Doro was taking a limousine to go somewhere. So they gave me a ride home in a limousine. So like the village idiot, I get the phone. Hey mom, I'm coming home in a limousine, and so we pull up to the house in a limousine. All the neighbors looking. I said, "No, there's my whole fucking family at the door. My father, my mother, my brother. Like, here's the village idiot showing up in a limousine. I'm getting out. They meet Doro, and I'm like, I'm coming home in a limousine. I'm like, I'm in the phone book now. Hello, Steve Martin. But yeah,
I get it, because my first limo ride, it was back in the 80s. I won a trip from the radio station to go to the Grammys in New York. And I got to ride in the limo, and that was just the coolest thing, because I'm like 16 in New York in a limo, and it was like,
yeah, it was cool. I mean, yeah, it was, there was a lot of energy and excitement, during the making of Triumph Agony. I mean, there was a lot of, great vibes, great energy. I mean, it was almost surreal. It's almost like if I concentrate. I mean, I have a semi-photographic memory. Mm-hmm. So if I think of some stuff, even stuff I want to forget, like I go through a Rolodex in my mind, I can see it. Yeah, I can see it from my view. And from third person view, it's almost, that's how I graduated high school. I never studied. I just had a memory of everything, and I have I in my school I went to, you needed a 90 average to get in, and 75 was passing. And I had like 100 average in business law, 98 in business communications, 98 in trig. I mean, why am I telling you this? I have no fucking idea. It's late here, and I probably need sleep because I got up way too early. But anyway, yeah. So, back then there was a lot of great energy, yeah, I mean, I couldn't be prouder. And now the Triumph Agony Live coming out, people get to hear it like, at that version, at that speed, that level, that intensity live, because, you can even see from, All We Are, which has already been put out, Doro released that, you can see that's like, we're just losing our fucking mind. So
absolutely.
I just wish it's in many ways, I was like, wow, I wish, what would I have created if I had been still in the picture for all those years? Sometimes I'll think that in a melancholy kind of way, but in the same sense, everything has a reason for what reason, I mean, as, fate lays itself out as it does. And, I'm very grateful for everything I've done. I mean, I am. I mean, there's people I know who are talented, who are struggling and not getting a break, who are fucking fantastic artists. And, they're just, trying to bust out of the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's just, it's crazy. I mean, I got a friend of mine who's a fantastic singer. She's in Greece and she's, her name is Andrea Liu, and she's, fantastic singer. And just the music scene in Greece is just like almost near nothing. She sang on some duet with Rip Rollins and some other stuff, and she was on the TV show The Voice, winning all this. Like you think, and her voice is ridiculous, and you think there'd be like, people beating the drum, but it's just geography, who and blah blah blah. It's just like,
and that is the truth, because I mean, I don't just do interviews. I work on the other side of it. I'm an artist manager and a promoter. And so right. And I've worked with some really great artists, but there's so many artists out there, and getting your break to really be found, it is hard, especially with all the Spotify's and Apple Music and Amazon Music, and
it's everywhere.
So much now. It's so flooded. It's hard to hone in and find a great artist, even though there's so many out there. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of talent out there doing stuff, but there is something to be said, the oldest saying was, songs get you signed, you know what I'm saying? And songs are what people are going to remember. And obviously, Doro's worked her ass off all the years, even since Triumph Agony, to say the least. Her catalog is ridiculously, and, I mean, she requires no introduction when you say her name. And obviously, when people hear Warlock in America, they immediately think Triumph Agony, 9 out of 10 times. So that reflects to me. So there's a great energy to that. So she can get in situations to really bring her new stuff to it. And of course, deservedly so, that I'm grateful, because, I came back into a platform that was already, full steam ahead. I jumped on a moving train, again. I jumped on a moving train then. I came back on a train going just as fast.
Well, and I think too, when you say that there also is the misconception for a lot of people that are really struggling to try to get their artistry out there, that they think once you've had that big break and once you're somebody like Doro, that it's easy for you. And it's still the same struggles. It's not really easy.
No, then there's a whole new fresh batch of hell.
Yeah, you have more eyes and options, but it's still just as hard.
The song remains the same in many ways. While you have definitely ways you can, solve problems that other people which would absolutely, shut other people down. There are new things that pop up at different levels and different situations. I mean, Doro's got, 3 managers and, and all these people and a whole team of people, because you need that, because as the thing expanded, you needed more moving parts, so it is, something to be said. You get a whole new fresh batch of hell, as I would say.
Absolutely. So let's wrap this up with one last question. And this is going to be for the fans out there that have followed your music, followed Doro, and that, have really invested their time in you. What do you have to say to them?
Thank you. Honestly, I mean, that's the biggest thing. Thank you for, digging the vibe and catching the energy and seeing catching the real energy and the real heart of the music. Because, everything is done, ain't none of that rock star 101 bang head now. It's all, real from the heart. So anything I've created with Doro or anything, I'm sure I can speak to Doro on that, is, the fans respond to that. It's like, I'm humbled by it. I'm very appreciative of the fact that they want to, I mean, shit. I remember, quick story here, when we were touring in Europe, and we stopped we played an arena. This is when we were with Dio, freezing cold, 20 degrees in fucking the winter in November. And suddenly we had to stop the bus before these chain link gates, because then it went to the arena. So we had to stop here because we couldn't get the bus through. So these security guards come on, these fucking guys the size of refrigerators, and they go, look, we gotta get you through, because obviously it's dangerous for Doro in the crowd. It can be. They said, look, we've got these kids here since 10 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock. There's, a couple hundred kids, they've been waiting here freezing to meet you guys. So we go through, and suddenly you sign some more as you go. and you're glad, wow, these kids are freezing, waiting to meet us. Like, holy shit, who am I, And next thing you know, we get all through, and I'm the last guy through the gate, and suddenly, they're closing the gate, and all of a sudden I hear everybody going, oh, and all the kids like this. So I stop. I go, what? Somebody not getting an autograph or something? And all the kids are staring. And I'm like, I tell the security, I go, come with me. He goes, what are you doing, man? I go, just come with me. So I bring one of those refrigerators with me, and I walk in right in the middle of the crowd, and I signed everyone's autograph for like 20 minutes in the freezing cold. Signed everybody. Everybody. They're all like, wow, this is so cool. We can't believe you stopped. I go, dude, I'm here because of you. You bought the record. You're the one, buying the tickets. You're the one buying the T-shirt. You're the one, talking to your friends about the album. And they go, this is the coolest fucking thing. I go, hey, well, do me a favor. When I get introduced tonight, let me hear you. Because every night, actually I did Italian there. I go, Doro would introduce each member of the night, during we had a little break, and I think it was Burn the Witches. She go, I'm here and this and that. So, and the security guard told me, he goes, I've never seen anybody stop to do that. And I'm like, and I stopped to do that. And, whether they remember it or not, I don't know. But, I did do it. And then, sure enough, I get introduced on stage that night. And they go, and I'm going to talk, Tommy. Well, all of a sudden, 50-year-olds in the upper deck go, rah! And they're freaking out. And then for extended, all of a sudden, the band looks at me like, would you flip out 20s out there? And it was all them. All these kids were, I guess, I don't know if they're all friends. Or if they were a majority, just this ridiculous. I mean, I was used to getting a certain amount of, crowd response. This was like, whoa. And it's like, freaked me out, and then, it's like the littlest thing. What did I do? I stopped to sign some autographs. I mean, I did that in Belgium once. I remember I was watching, it was an arena where you could walk up the whole arena going up. And I used to like to watch them tear down Dio's rig and all that. So I'm sitting there, I'm all sweaty, got my baseball hat on. And I remember seeing a couple of like levels up, there's this kid in a wheelchair with somebody. So he must have known somebody was there. He was able to watch. And there's nobody in the arena, just people working. And I see the kid, he's just sitting there, and I'm looking at him. And I had a cousin in a wheelchair who since passed away, and it was, it always made me sad. So we had these autograph cards, like little cards, pictures of us. And I even got a picture of one on my Instagram. So I sign it. And I asked the security guard, I go, hey, could you bring that up to that guy up there? And he goes, that you? I go, yeah, it's me when I take a shower. That's me when I don't come off a stage, fucking sweated to death. And he smiles at me, and he walks up, takes him like 5 minutes, and suddenly I see him going. He goes, hey, that kid down there. All of a sudden, the kid flips out, starts screaming his ass off, going, ah, Tommy. And I'm like, and I give him, a thumbs up, and all that, and his friends freaking out, and they're doing. What did that take me? 5 minutes? I mean, I was just. You realize I can bitch all day long, but the fact that I'm vertical, I got my health, it humbles you. Yeah. And I mean, that type of stuff, it sticks with you. I mean, I remember I met a kid once who couldn't speak. Guy was at the sound check and he had no voice. He had a little machine. It was with Dio again, and he's typing the machine saying how great Warlock is, and he's handing these little notes, the new album is great, and this and that. And I'm like, and he goes, Tommy, could you do me a favor? And I go, oh, what do you need? I think he must know somebody because he's there during our sound check. He goes, could you introduce me to Dio? I said, Ryan's a great guy. He's from New York. I can't promise that, but I'll try. So I go backstage after the show, and I walk back, and I see him being held by security with all the other kids there. And I just tell him, I go like this, wait. So I go back and I talk to Ronnie. And I go, Ronnie, there's this kid out there. He can't speak. He goes, what do you mean? I go, no, he can't speak. He's got a machine. He's dying to meet you. Would you take 5? He goes, Tommy, bring him back. I go walk out. I bring the kid out. I point to him. He sees me coming towards him. He can't believe I'm coming for him. And I'm with security. I go, bring me that guy there. And I go, Ronnie wants to meet you. The kid's eyes start to well up. The kid starts to shake. I go, Ronnie, this is on. And Ronnie was the nicest guy in the world, and he meets Dio and he's crying. And he got to meet, and that was because of me. I mean, I'm not looking for a pat in the back, but I'd have lost my shit if someone, picked me out of a class. Hey, I want to meet Kiss. I'd been like, but this guy couldn't speak. You can wake up and bitch and moan about all your problems, and rightly so in some cases. But the fact that you can speak and enunciate or be vertical, or there's so many people in such worse condition. So I guess to answer your question that you asked 20 minutes ago, I'm humbled and I'm very appreciative, I guess.
And that's really cool to hear that, because I like to hear when artists take that time, and I like to see it when artists stop and they take that. It takes a moment to write, just to scribble something on a piece of paper, but that moment can make a memory for somebody that they're going to tell their own children, their grandchildren, their friends, everyone about this one experience they had with some really cool person in a band that stopped and gave them just that.
I've gotten some texts. I've gotten some Facebook messages from fans I've met who I guess I was very cordial to at one point, or gave them a guitar. They remember. I mean, I try to remember as much as I can. I got a good memory. Some of these people remind me of stuff. I go, wow, and which I appreciate. And I just always, there's one thing Doro always said. Doro said to me once, she goes, I always know where your heart is, Tommy. That's what Doro said to me once. And that meant a lot when she said that, because I always put my heart, when I believe in something, I put my heart into it in every part of my life.
Yeah.
And now I'm free. It is. Absolutely it is.
It's important.
Because a lot of people phone it in. A lot of people go through the motions. And it comes back to what I said, about the follow through. I mean, some people just don't, they just, I don't know if they operate at a different level, or it's like how some people can process, you can be something so important in some situation, whether it be a relationship or a friendship, and then the next thing you know, you're not, and they can process you out of their life so quick. And you're like, how what organ in your body you got that you run that through? Because I need to get that,
Yeah,
I mean,
see, I'm not that way. And it stirs me up.
People can 1 minute say they're going to fight like hell for you. The next minute, wait a second, just last week you said, what happened? Am I new and not improved? What the fuck?
It's this Russell Brand. He did this conversation on YouTube, and I came across a quote that someone else had quoted from it, and I had to go find it. And it was talking about ghosting people, but not just in in relationships, but like ghosting just friends and stuff. But he said something in it that says, I underestimated my value to that person. And I was like, wow, how that just really when you think about the way people treat you, and it's like, wow, I just underestimated my value to them. That's just the weirdest, I don't operate like that.
That's almost that's an interesting way to reinterpret it from the other side of the river. Yeah. I understand my value to the person, meaning I didn't realize I was that important to you. But you were not that important to me, but I didn't realize I was that important to you. That's what that kind of says to me. Like cheerio, good day. I wasn't that important to you, but I didn't realize, but because it would be him saying that from obviously hearing that other person pour their guts out of what that person meant. Wow.
There's the flip side of it that I overestimated my value to you. I guess I just don't mean anything to you. There's that weird flip side to it.
I'm taking it from a different angle, what you're saying, but I get what you mean.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. And the more you're in this, especially I don't even think it's just music, but it's really prevalent in the industry, but just in normal everyday, everything, people just, I don't know if it's just the way we grew up from, because I started out on the East Coast, and if it's just that people were good people or good people, but then you get that just people who just wait for the next step.
There are some people who just have make no mistake about it, evil exists, and there are people with no soul out here. There are people who will process through to you, who just doing whatever it takes to get that first class ticket. They will churn and burn through you, and that's, I'd like to think I can spot those people. I've met people like that. Like a friend of mine has a saying, that girl's on the restaurant tour. I go, what do you mean? Well, she's looking for the next guy to take her out to Mastro's or the big restaurant. She has no interest in you, but
meal tickets.
She wants the restaurant tour. She's here this week, that week. I'm like, interesting, and same thing with some people in business. If you can't do something for them, they don't even care. But as soon as you can do something for them, your phone blows up off the hook.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, suddenly then you find out about everybody. Oh, hell yeah, buddy, boy. Where were you when I'm sitting here, fucking, alone by myself, or this or that, and then I have a saying: I forget nothing, I remember everything. You know what I'm saying?
You find out who your friends are when things get really rough. And I think last year was really
exactly who your friends are. I mean, I have a few very close friends of mine still back in New York. I have a very select bunch here, and then of course I know a lot of people. I deal with a lot of people, and then I become friends with, some of the people in some of the companies I endorse are really great human beings. The people that morally are outstanding. People at Tascam are, super cool. And, some of the other companies I deal with, there are a lot of great people. I'm privileged, to endorse a lot of great companies who represent me, and give me the gear I needed to build my race car. Because that's very important to me. And you build friendships with these people, you definitely do over time. you know, and that's great when you can actually like the people you work with, you know, that's a major bonus. You know, I mean, that's always really good stuff. So that's why, you know, I mean, I look so forward much to get back on the road, you know. I mean, you know, I know there's a huge thirst and a huge chasm that's been left open for people dying for live shows and to see the band. And, you know, I know, you know, I probably went crazy a year ago, but, you know, well, crazy is not the term, but, you know, just need to get back on stage. And, you know, even NAMM, you know, NAMM got canceled last year. No? Holy
yeah. I think they did it online, Believe in Music. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
even the She-Rocks was online this year. It was a really strange year.
It was that. So it's kind of hard to do NAMM online for my taste. But this year's NAMM, I don't know. I might have to go like in a fucking fog suit or like an outbreak suit or a helmet. I have no idea. Hopefully, you know, I want to walk in a space suit or some shit, you know. But hopefully, you know,
that's because, you know, NAMM is balls to the walls. You can't escape people. It's like Comic-Con. You just you can't.
Another planet, no doubt. It's another planet.
Well, on that, thanks for sitting down and chatting with me about Triumph and Agony and your career and the horrors of dating.
A whole hootenanny of hell and a whole bunch of other stories you didn't going, this guy gonna stop?
No, I think it's awesome because I think it helps people to relate to people that they've loved because they actually see the human side of you. Like, and I think it's so rare. And especially I think in a lot of interviews and media, people stick to their canned questions instead of actually having just a conversation of like, to let people be who they are. Like,
oh, it's like, you know, I mean, yeah, I go out there and I be real. I mean, you know, look at me, you know, steady as a rock. Yeah, but shoot with that hair, you know, the blazing saddles.
Yep.
He's a rock. Yeah, but shoot with that hair.
And on that, if you guys want some great movie quotes, connect with Tommy on Instagram or Facebook.
Here, forget about it. Don't forget to tip your waiters and tip your bartenders. I'm here all week. Coming to a stage near you. I'll be the guy on that side of the stage flipping the fuck out. Well, look for Doro on my shoulders.
So September 24th, Triumph and Agony Live.
Agony Live comes out on Doro's label, Rare Diamonds Productions, available worldwide. Go to Doro's merch store and get it. The whole different versions of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can find me online, Tommy Bolan Official, at either Facebook or Instagram, or pretty much just go to TommyBolan.com. There's more links there and stuff like that, and a whole bunch of ugly pictures of me online, all that shit. You
know? That's so funny. And it's so you guys, so you know, it's not just a live album. You've got the options for Blu-ray, DVD. What Doro had told me to, you can get a CD, you can get vinyl. So there's going to be so many different things you can get. There's going to be patches and stuff. So
yeah, there's patches, buttons. You know, I think everything. It's a real fan-oriented thing. There's like a booklet. There's a behind the scenes. There's interviews. There's, you know, Doro doing a commentary. So it's really, I'm not sure if the CD is sold by itself or the CD always includes the Blu-ray. I'm not sure, but obviously there's different packages. You can find out, you know, which one suits you the best. But the live show is absolutely worth getting at any cost. And of course, that has like, you know, the behind the scenes stuff and all the Doro took a lot of pictures of all, you know, pretty rare vintage memorabilia and put video clips of like us playing back in the day and stuff. So there's some cool shit. If you like that album, then it's like, you know, it's definitely worth checking out for sure.
Yeah. And I can definitely say the Sweden Rock live show part of the DVD was an amazing show. I can tell you that I was there for the live show. I'm looking forward to getting the DVD because I want to see everything else that I didn't get to see, all these extra little pieces and the extra parts from the Spain tour. And I want to see the rest of the stuff that is going to be in there telling old stories.
Yeah. I mean, Doro's worked really hard on it. And, you know, she's got a great vision and connection with the fans as to what they want. You know, it's almost like, you know, I have 100,000% confidence of whatever she's put in that box is awesome. You know, forget, as they say in New York, forget about it. You know what I mean?
Forget about it, but don't forget to get this one.
That's
don't forget about this. There
you go. Don't forget this.
Don't forget this. But forget about everything else.
Maybe come down there.
And on that note, Tommy, thank you so much, guys. September 24th, you want to get this one, and I'll see you guys with the next interview.